everybody? Hi there. Happy, happy, happy. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Up, down. Going in the right direction. That's awesome. We're excited. So, what are we going to do today? What's your name? Say again. Cecilia. Wow. You are from Sicily, right? That's no joke. So Cecilia. What are we going to do today? What do you think, Cecilia? Anybody? What is it we do today? Anybody? What do you guys think? Wow. What do you guys think? Yeah?
I think we are going to speak online.
A what?
Speak online.
Okay, speaker online. Any other idea?
This is not
What's your name?
working at all.
It's okay.
What was it? Any idea? What was it?
About the next steps.
Okay, that's always the safe harbor, right? We talk about the next steps. Anybody else?
The problem deck.
The what?
The problem statement deck.
Problem statement, okay. Getting warmer and warmer and warmer. Anybody else with problem statement maybe? Who is prepared to your problem statements? Raise your hands. Problem statements. Who has prepared the problem statements? Okay. You guys use the framework that we shared last time? Who used it? Who used the framework of the problem statement? What's your name? Melissa, what's your group? Healthcare group? Do you want to start out and present what you guys did, Melissa? That's just an invitation to be the first one today, or anybody else. Anybody else would like to present? Okay, so you have here somebody who would be able to start, or Melissa, you want yes or no? Tick, beep. Melissa, you want or not?
But I guess there is no, we are going to slide
Okay, let's start out with this group then. You guys can figure out things. So today we are going to do the following class. Today we are going to learn and together assess together as a class the problem statements. In which phase are we right now if you would have to describe entrepreneurship like we discussed in the entrepreneurial journey? Which phase are we right now? Yep. Okay. Ideation. Any other thoughts? Yep. Okay. Ideation, opportunity, yep.
I think we're thinking about what we're passionate about as a team. Really, what direction do we want to go as people?
Okay. So did we undertake, obviously within a class structure, the effort of team formation, yes or no? Yes or no? Guys? I'm very simply strict. We either collaborate or I go and drink a beer. It's very simple. So who would like to collaborate here? Very simple. Anybody? Awesome. So team formation, right? Outstanding. We had that. And just to break it down in where we stand, I think it's important, right? Obviously, in real life, these processes are way longer, deeper, right? But let's say in a class format, step number one, it's either you have an idea, right? Or you have a team and you're seeking an idea, right? You're kind of starting bouncing back and forth. Or you're at the university, you have a research, and then you look for an idea, right? So step number one is kind of idea/team, right? And then you go into the so-called ideation phase that was mentioned here, right? Then we go through an initial form of ideation, okay? And then with the ideation, right? And by the way, this class here, just to be very clear, right? This class, which is the title, obviously, Entrepreneurship DAP, right? It's not that you get a certificate. What's your name? money. It's not that I give you a certificate that you now are an entrepreneur, you can do entrepreneurship, right? So we're sharing with you ingredients here on what makes basically a skill set of entrepreneurship so that you can apply them in two cases. One, the knowledge for you to bring into the industry in the future, find a job and say, hey, I have entrepreneurial skill sets, right? And a framework and an understanding and a pathway, right? Or you basically launch your own startup. So we are at the point where we have an ideation phase, right? So with the ideation phase, you have a lot of hypotheses, correct? Right? And you get to the point, and that's the reason why I would like here to guide you in a direction to to a perspective where I say, with this idea, the idea comes from our minds. What is it we need to do as the next step?
Market research.
Sorry?
Maybe market research.
Research? What happens if you research? How?
Problem definition, and after, if you go in the right direction, you have to test if there is a market.
Okay.
And how will you do that? And the potential vision, we have two ideas so that we can eventually define it and adapt, and then after we do the test.
Okay. Research, there's a lot to unpack. Anything else? Yes?
Yes, feasibility of the idea.
Feasibility of idea. Anything else?
Validation of the idea.
Validation.
Yeah, test it hard.
Okay. So hypothesis, validation. Anything else? Okay. So a pitfall. Thomas, what's a pitfall in these situations? What is a typical pitfall for startup in this situation, right? Being an entrepreneur is a very emotional thing because you connect with something that you want to build and you think a lot about that, right? Anybody in the same situation maybe? Oh, right? So you wake up and you usually think of this idea, right? You meet a friend and you say, hey, I have an idea, right? What do you think about it, right? And you start feeling connected with it, right? And the pitfall is that you start feeling connected emotionally with the idea and you almost diminish or put in a secondary priority the fact of validating what was mentioned here. That's the reason why I would like here in this today to start learning, assessing all together the importance of the assessment of the problem. Don't and never ever fall in love with the product. This is a huge, huge pitfall. Okay? Always fall in love with the problem. Okay? And the better you understand the problem, understanding does not mean just out of your mind, but the more evidence you have, it leads, right? The better you understand the problem, the higher the probability that you will succeed. Because once you understand the problem, there is this truth, you face the moment of truth, which is, okay, wait a second. How has been this problem solved so far? And do I have then a potential solution towards this problem that is innovative, okay? So what is it we should not do at this stage? Talk about solutions, because there is no problem defined. And actually, very important here, in a couple of weeks, you guys, all of you are going to pitch, okay? And it is super crucial and also a pitfall for a lot of entrepreneurs or teams that preach that are not clear in what problem they are solving. People love talking about solution. It's super sexy talking about blockchain and crypto. It is, right? But that's just the consequence of you solving a problem. So what you would like to focus on is what problem are you solving? And the reason why this is so fundamentally important is because when you convey in a pitch, right, to investor, to customers, to press, right, what you're doing, if the listener is not understanding / following / capturing what problem you're solving, there is no reason why they should continue listening to you. Does that make sense? Okay. So here in Silicon Valley is the hub of pitching investors, right? Central Road, 60-70% of global investments in generating tech come from Central Road, which is 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 3 miles, let's call it 4 miles. Down in Palo Alto, you've been? Central Road? And you keep on pitching investors, right? When do you lose the attention of the investors? When you are not conveying clearly what the problem is. And this is exactly the phase that we are in right now. Today we will be assessing the problem statement, okay? Again, we are not, you guys are presenting, not pitching today. There is a difference, okay? You're not pitching a startup. There is no startup yet. Does that make sense? There is no solution, there is no target audience, there is no evidence, nothing. So I don't wanna see any pitches. Today we are presenting and assessing together what makes an initial phase of a problem statement, okay? Awesome. You wanna go first? You say, yeah, you're ready?
If anyone else wants to go, they can.
Okay, anyone else?
We can bounce around a few different ideas, so. We can go. Good.
So how do we want to stream
Do
this
you have
back
any
home?
others who you'd like to invite from online?
Yes, we've got.
Do you got some slides you want to?
We have slides, yeah.
So Airmeet is where you want to be, and we'll bring you on stage to present on Airmeet.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Maybe you can present without the slide.
If you don't need the slides, it's fine. If you guys have stuff that you'd like to present, join Airmeet, and then we'll bring you on stage to present to the rest of the class on a live stream, as opposed to me trying to like record your screen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, is Surya or Pauline, are you guys in there somewhere? Would you mind sharing on Airmeet?
Hey, Pauline.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Pauline.
Pauline,
He was here, Sam, right?
Pauline, we're gonna get you online.
You're a part of the slide?
Okay, well, I'll invite her, and can you email me?
Raised hand, Pauline. Is here? Can you bring her on, Manon, or no? There you go.
Hi.
Hey, Pauline, we got you.
Yeah.
You'll try and present your screen.
Now we need to, yeah, it needs to be a full team.
Yeah, Pauline, can you bring up the slides and see if you can share your screen?
Let me check the audio real quick because I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, we should make sure the audio.
See if we can get your audio through. I
How
think,
you are different, right? I didn't ask about what problem
Dan,
you
do you
might
want to
do.
try testing?
So-
yeah, my audio is working.
So
It sounds like Pauline's
this is
working
a
as well.
very valid question,
Cool.
okay? And just attention, the question here was, how are we going to be talking how we are different if we don't know what solution we have? My response was, I'm not asking for a value proposition of a product. This is the previous step. Next step is value proposition. First is assessment of problem. Hypothesis statement is a hypothesis of what you would like to solve for a specific persona. It's not saying how you would like to solve it. Does that make sense? Okay. Outstanding. So we will be taking time because I want to take as many as possible of you here today on screen/stage, right? So we'll be providing roughly 2-3 minutes. Okay, let's call it 2.5 minutes. And then we have 2.5 minutes again of assessment. Let's call it 5 minutes, and then we get the next one. Okay?
Cool.
Okay, fantastic. So when you'll be hearing here the alarm,
You
then
guys wouldn't mind sliding around.
Slides up.
Yeah, and Pauline, could you try and share screen? Yeah, with the slides? Get you roughly in camera. You cannot share your screen?
Yes, I can.
Oh, go ahead and do it. And then we'll get you both in camera. Well, you guys are nice, right? I guess you want to look at this as well? Maybe off to the side and look this way. Yeah, there you go. Like back in the corner. Nana and Tim, you might have to move.
Yes.
On the fly, you guys are doing good. Okay, so we got you guys. Pauline, we're not seeing your screen at all with the slides.
Hold on, it's processing.
There
Do
it
you
is.
now?
Yes, it should be coming up. You
Amazing.
can see it.
Sweet. All right, so yeah, let's go to that first slide.
The lapel for me.
Can you press the slideshow?
Should we let them use it?
oh yeah, sorry.
Can you press on slideshow?
Yes.
Please?
You guys
Slideshow's in the top right for you there. One more.
Slideshow.
Check,
Do you want
check.
slideshow?
Everyone here?
Slideshow, just one more over. Yeah.
Never used one.
Voila. Yeah, there you go.
Feel official. All right.
Good start whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Hello, everyone. As you know, one of the things that we've been working on has been ticketing issues. We've been bouncing around a few different ideas, and right now, at least, we have landed on addressing fake news and trying to increase the standards of journalism. So what the problem is that currently now, it's difficult to verify any information that you see or get online. There's no transparency in the sources typically by journalists. And it's also hard to identify news articles that are unique and original. So for the reader, for the end user, this comes down to not knowing which information that's given to you is fake or true. We've seen it play out in the COVID pandemic, whether people want to get vaccinated or not, whether they want to wear masks, or a multitude of issues. Back to 2016 with President Trump talking about different sources of information. And so this is kind of a way for us to try to support positive journalism.
Next slide.
Next slide. All right, and this is just some more facts based on that. So yeah, 56% of Americans, it's not really surprising, don't currently trust journalism. So this is an effort to rebuild that journalism. Slide. All right, and here are some current competitors. So at the moment, we have seen things in like Harvard Business Review, theoretical articles that talk about how this could be done on blockchain, but we haven't seen any companies yet that have taken it and have succeeded, as well as getting funding and stuff like that.
So maybe to add to this. Yes, so to add to this, as we can see here, there are some actors already that are trying to solve this problem of fake news. But two things. The first one is most of them, what they use some form of algorithm in order to check. Here they talk about the accuracy, Chrome, they do the same. So you can either trust the algorithm or trust the people. The thing with the blockchain and like what is not the case here is that here it's super centralized. So adding the blockchain to that will be something very different from what is offered by these companies. Maybe we can go to the next one.
Next slide.
So I don't know if we're supposed to talk about what makes it different with the blockchain, or is that what's there? Okay, so just what we wanted to say is that what blockchain could add in this particular sector is like the fact that it's decentralized and that other people, like big communities, could be the one judging if something is fake or not, rather than just algorithms that are being directed by specific competitors. And having like all of the others, traceability and transparency of the blockchain is also something big. Right?
Cool.
And then
you have another slide or what?
We don't.
Okay.
No, but one thing just to finally wrap up.
Right.
Was, we were not trying to make something that says this is right and this is wrong. We're not trying, this is completely apolitical. The goal is to just track sources, track data, and encourage positive, good, strong journalism, as opposed to hit pieces and opinions, and make it easier for the reader to know when they're reading an opinion versus when they're reading something with facts.
Cool.
Okay, cool. First of all, the first one, amazing. So we're getting past this problem statement, right? And hypothesis validation. How do you think it went? What do you think?
Could you take Pauline off stage?
Yeah, that was really good. Based on what?
They like sort of how they structure the whole problem. So they were really good at identifying also what the problem is, and then like why the specific problem and then going down to whatever the problem is. So I thought that was really good.
Nine or seven? Okay, seven, seven. Okay. What do you think? That's the goal. Yeah. You tell me guys if it's not any better. A lot of white noise on the screen. Is it any better now?
Last week?
You can't. I'm not muted. You can't hear anything? Can you hear anything? No? We don't have the microphone too close. Do you want to listen to it on your end, please? See what it is. Could be. No, I don't. It's just me who's on, you guys. It could be, unfortunately, the audio is bad. Not clear and bubbly sound.
How is the problem going to do?
Any better, guys? Everybody has accepted the slide open that starts the view of being done. So then we can just assess, a couple of our assumptions because we do it together and learn together. There is no right or wrong, guys. I mean, this is all good. That's just all together collaborating to understanding how we assess our sound.
You can use my mic.
Hypothesis statement. What's that in the last 30 rounds?
We'll have to trade places.
Anybody? So we assume that a specific persona faces a certain challenge. Okay? So what do understand a specific circumstance in the entrepreneurial pathway, right, that causes a problem for a specific persona. What's your name? Thomas. So Thomas said, maybe we might have, or we could have focused more. And you said, we don't have, or we didn't have any specific persona, right? So this will be causing a chain reaction, if you think through the entrepreneurial pathway, of the following. Because you don't have a specific persona, you don't know who to talk to. If you don't know who to talk to, you can assess the real problem. If you cannot assess the real problem, you cannot define features. If you cannot define features, you cannot build a product. If you cannot build a product, you cannot sustain an engineering team or so. So what this is a very tremendous important moment of the entrepreneurial journey, which is what? Being specific. Okay? So we are going to learn now to become more and more focused on the actual problem. Okay? Because this creates almost a a face, which is called then a persona, right? A persona that has a certain problem in a certain circumstance. And that's what we are seeking. We're seeking a repeatable process. We are seeking that a specific demographic, a specific persona in a specific. I'm sorry. Who has this mic stuff? The mic? Otherwise, my wife would say, "Were you in a party?" I was, "No, it's not." Okay, of course. Okay, nobody wants that I divorce more. Yeah. Does it make sense? Anybody repeats what who can contextualize what I just said or summarize? What's your name? Heather. How would you summarize what we just assessed here?
If you can't really get to the heart of what the customer needs, you're not going to be able to sustain like anything, and you don't have anything.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other flavor? Any other perception? Yep.
If you are not like specific enough, then you don't go to anybody actually.
Okay. So the next step of what we are doing right now, right, is getting more into details, right? So my next challenge for you as a class is, okay, great, we have now a hypothesis, right? I need more evidences. And then there are two types of evidences. So what Tommaso, I showed you already statistics. A great statistic, who did this statistic, right? Never trust somebody who does this, never trust anybody that does a statistic except the statistic that you did, right? So what does it mean? What's the next step then? Once you go from online, you have to go then and? What do you have to do? What is it you have to do in order to have real evidences?
Go out person in the field.
Right. And then the question is, who is it? Right? Who is it? Does that make sense? Right? Okay, awesome. That's a great round of applause because the first one is always the most challenging one, right? Next one. Who wants to go next? Everybody will be standing up. So yeah, cool, awesome. What's your name? Juan? Okay, awesome. We have a lot of things. And I would like also to encourage the next team to prepare already. Everybody will be presenting, okay? So please be ready who is going to be next. And if we can accelerate just the logistics, this would be awesome so that we can, as much as possible, learnings out of it.
Joining Airmeet's probably the best.
Yeah. Okay, great, sorry. I will point this way. Okay, great. You guys are.
Okay, you ready? I didn't really do it.
Yeah, we're waiting on the slideshow.
On the slide? Who is sharing it? Oh, they're coming here.
Oh my god, sorry. 1 second. Let me.
Wait, so
Okay.
how do I do it?
Yeah, did you join? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Amazing. Just hit enter event and then I'll invite you to the stage. And then you can just hit the, you'll just use your laptop as a clicker.
Guys, who is presenting next? Who wants to go next? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We can speed up then the logistics, right?
Getting on Airmeet, you don't have to join a meeting,
awesome.
but we'll need to bring you on stage
And-
present to the rest of the
Okay.
crowd.
Yeah. Join Airmeet.
All right, I'll invite you to the stage. 1 second. Okay, there we go. Cool. So now you should be able to share your screen. Yeah, that would share screen. Oh yeah. Oh, you can't do that.
Okay, guys ready?
Yeah, it's just sharing screen.
Oh, it's not allowed. Okay, maybe should I download it?
Otherwise, you can share.
Oh yeah, I can share this with you. What's your?
Maybe you can try to download it like that. Browser.
Okay, let me just download it.
Just download it.
Yeah, you can use a PDF, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, and unmute yourself here. There you go. Or that was because then it won't.
Hello, everybody.
Shoot, sorry. Here you go.
So our project is about GameFi analytics, and it's trying to understand the analytics of the play-to-earn model games. Next slide, please. So briefly, there is 876,000 daily active users for top 10 blockchain games, and most of them is relying on play-to-earn games. So people are playing that games in order to gain revenue throughout the game. And real ROI of the GameFi games are basically hidden from the players. They can only understand and see that if they play the game. And current analytics platform only give like basic data like volume, users, and I don't know. Like what is the category, what's the balance they hold in the smart contracts, users, volume of that game, and basic activity of the past data. Next slide, please. So here are our competitors. One is Dune Analytics, the other is DevRadar. Basically, Dune Analytics is a SQL platform where you can track the blockchain data, on-chain data. So it's not like specifically for GameFi. And DevRadar is basically looking through the user balance volume of the most of the dApps, which is again not specifically for the GameFi. Next, please. So why is this a problem? Many GameFi users are craving for analytics tools that boost their ROI, but the existing products are not easy to watch and they're not scalable. Basically, users using Excel sheets and like share with them each other to understand what is the ROI. And as you can see, as we talk about, their daily active user is really huge, and the market cap is close to $70 billion for the GameFi games. Right now, the ROI problem isn't solved directly because individual analytics tools support only popular games and it's not specified in the ROI. And what is the difference? We will be checking the ROI and more on-chain data for the GameFi dApps. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Okay, based on what?
Well,
Yeah. Can't hear what you're asking. Okay.
We cannot hear you right now.
I'm not too familiar with like the tokens and stuff inside of games, inside of crypto games. But
Okay, so you said interesting, not familiar with the tokens, with the crypto games? Don't say.
yeah, I mean.
So in terms of the hypothesis statement, how would you assess that?
Sorry, hold this. Let me disconnect and fix this.
Cool guys, let's collaborate. Okay?
Quit
So,
mail.
I know it's after hours for me too, right? So from a perspective of, like, if you answer something like it's interesting or interesting, it doesn't really contribute to it, right? So if we can just assess how was the hypothesis, problem statement structured, and how clear was it? Do you think that there was, either was excellent, and why was it excellent? If we point out a couple of points, let's have you have some.
Well, I didn't really get your
Okay.
problem statement like really clear. I got how you wanted to do something different, but I didn't get the real problem. Well, maybe because it might be just me.
Okay, this is also very interesting here, right? So super fair, right? What was said, and actually you said it too, right? So I did not get it, and maybe because it was just me, if I interpret what you just said, right, is I'm asking, okay, who is my target audience, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe you say legitimately, maybe I'm not a gamer, maybe I don't understand it, right? So as an entrepreneur, right, it is super important to be clear, right, who your user is, right? And you say, well, Tommaso, but you asked me to present today, and I don't know who is your gamer on blockchain gamer. Seriously?
Turn around.
Seriously? No, wait. Did you see that? Or is it just me?
Look behind you.
Huh?
Oh, that
We
one.
are the gamers probably here.
Yeah, that's why we did the project.
Others online.
Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, so nobody in this class will understand whatever you pitched here, right? So, and by the way, as an entrepreneur, okay, again, lesson learned guide, okay? I'm not your professor, I'm just sharing my lessons as an entrepreneur, right? When you pitch to somebody, now I'm not talking presenting, pitching, right? Assuming somebody in Silicon Valley invites you and say, hey, you want to raise funds? And pitch. And usually the entrepreneur, what we think always is, shoot, raising funds, that's what I want to do, right? What is it you do? You go and pitch. You invest time, you create a deck. What's the pro and what's the con? The pro is that you honey your deck. You basically, get stronger in presenting, right? That's always positive, right? The con is that, was this my target audience? Is this my target audience? Because if you present something, a real problem that exists, which I know it exists, I understand what you want to say, right? But the target audience is simply not the ideal target audience because you're not the end user of that, right? In a couple of years, I'm pretty confident, maybe after the end of the year, or in 2 years, right? Not bad. When we are going to ask, are you going to play on blockchain? Meaning, are you into play to earn? You guys have heard of play to earn, right? Okay, cool. At least that. Then you would be understanding what he's just presenting, right? So what did we learn here? Assessment of a hypothesis. You might be understanding what you're doing, right? But then is the target audience exactly the target audience, right? Which brings me to another level that I like to share: communication. You can never assume that your target audience, when you talk to a mixed target audience, understands that, right? So things that we could be saying is, hey guys, who of you plays games on blockchain? And then and maybe you start to say, okay, cool guys, okay, so if you play games on blockchain, there is this play to earn mechanism where you dedicate your time and you are actually making money. These are games such as Axis Infinity that's flying through the roof, Sandbox, Upland, Decentraland, etc., right? So if you are on those games, what you want, right? So you basically would kind of communication-wise, right? Because otherwise you lose the right? So you say, well, Tommaso, but you asked me to do just the hypothesis. Well, this is an entrepreneurship class, and I'm just sharing with you the ingredients based on circumstances that you need, right? That's the reason why the only thing that you can expect from Tommaso is not having a linearity, but just sharing with you based on circumstances what you would need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if you want to have linearity, you go to math class, you go to other class, right? But in entrepreneurship, that's what we want to prepare you, right? That's the reason why I like to share. You cannot teach entrepreneurship. That's not an outside-in thing. It's an inside out thing. Does that make sense? It's unlocking, right? Okay, was it valid, guys?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yep, other ideas here? Yeah.
Just one question for the team.
Of course, yeah.
It seems like you already have, or already know the solution. Is it right? Like,
You know the solution?
Like, at least we have an idea of how to solve the problem itself, like the technical part.
Why the question?
No, because I thought that in the first slide, you were already talking about the solution and how you were going to do it.
Okay.
And I just wanted to know.
What are we learning here? What's the substance of what was asked here? Anybody? Yep.
The substance was, the substance here was to underline that the most important is the problem and not focusing on the solution. And this is what Thomas said, I think at the beginning, don't fall in love with the solution because otherwise you will be blocked. And the most important is to answer correctly the need of the end user.
So thank you. Anybody else wants to?
Sorry. I feel like there may be some problems that you could easily identify that we would all be able to understand. Like if you basically, I agree with him that it sounds like you've identified a statistic, the fact that people are not building these platforms and the ROIs are difficult to ship. That's, in my opinion, that's not a problem. It's just a statement. But there might be a problem also. Perhaps these games are leading to XYZ issues because they are not being accountable. And then maybe there's a loss of this amount of money, blah, 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 blah. Maybe we could become slightly more detailed in terms of identifying problems that we can understand.
Yep.
So I think I understood what was the pain point here, and I think there is a lot of potential actually, because I don't play to earn games, but I trade NFTs, and I think it's basically the same. We like analytic tools to track our return on investments. So I think your product would be easy to build, and you will have a lot of people interesting and willing to pay like a subscription for that. I'm pretty sure this can work, and it's going to be easy to build.
Anybody else?
Yeah, my feedback is, I just think it's very important to be super detailed and specific. From my past experience, like the last startup I started was to help artists connect, and our problem was like to help emerging artists, but like that problem can be solved in so many ways. Like it's not super specific. So like with this, like Caribbean analytics, I think really isolating. Like they don't have this analytic. Like they don't know like what's the first analytic that they don't have right now that's causing them not to be able to get ROI. Or like what is just really isolating what that is. I think can be really helpful.
So by the way, congratulations, guys. I'm really loving this because this is how we learn, right? This is how we assess things, right? It's not about somebody standing here and teaching, right? But it's really together collaborating on assessing what was the subject and breaking it down together, right? And this is a big compliment from my side. Thank you for the contribution, right? And definitely this is a common behavior that we're going to have for the rest of the semester. Let's do this together, right? And I understand that this is not something, by the way, that you guys are, this is entrepreneurship class, right? If you say, oh, I don't want, I want something more linear, right? This is a collaborative effort, sharing lessons learned, assessing, being constructive, right? So congratulations. Here goes the next in line. Awesome. Please. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Have one of you guys join for the slides.
Okay.
Can you join the Airmeet?
Oh,
Yeah, join the Airmeet and then make sure.
If you guys want to present anything, please get Airmeet set up.
Yeah.
That was the next one, yes, beforehand. Did you set up Airmeet? You have Airmeet already?
Join, we're doing okay, and then I'll invite you to the
Please set up
stage.
Airmeet because the next
Okay,
in line, who's next in line? Who wants to go next? You want to go next? You're on Airmeet already, and then you guys go next?
Alright, fantastic.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and then.
So let's
yeah, we'll
assess
just-
together
I'll add
again
you-
here this team, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just hit join. And fantastic.
So my name is Thibaut.
Yeah.
THIB.
Sounds good. Okay. Okay, and just hit accept.
Okay.
Amazing. And now you hit your share screen. And then share your screen. Yeah. Fantastic. And there you go. Okay, amazing. And then you can hold this and present and put your slides as you wish. Yeah.
Should I take the mic?
Oh, you understood the class of right? Oh, you were not there, Sam, right? Oh, okay. This was all about team.
Okay, you guys want to?
Oh, by the way, here, lesson learned. This is super important, right?
Make sure you don't block that.
What Sam write your name? Ask them what happened to your startup, okay? Guys, anybody interested? Lesson learned? Not book. Anybody interested? What happened to your startup, Sam?
I was telling him we launched a product. We started throwing a ton of events. We had a company for 2.5 years, but ultimately the direction that I wanted to take it, the direction my other two co-founders wanted to take it, differed. And that really was what ultimately led to it all.
How do you translate that?
Team.
I'm telling you, the biggest challenge is not technology, it's not fundraising. Everything is challenging. Don't get me wrong. Is it challenge to raise funds?
That's one. I actually think a major reason for this team divide was because we had different understandings of what the problem was, and we wanted to solve different problems. So I think really isolating what that problem is from day one is pretty critical.
And the sad / eventually funny thing is that when you hear stories like this, and I have 2 stories exactly like that, right? Is you say, okay, yeah, we went through that. It's chapter 1, it's T. No. Again, rewind, go back. Like the question is really, okay, Thomas, wait a second. Given the fact that we are hearing now multiple times, we are assessing the same pattern, which is T. What would be the right assessment for T? Question mark, right? It's a challenging question, right? Because it's not that I meet Sam and say, hey, Sam, you want to start up? Say, yeah, cool. That's just a moment, right? How do you build, how do you discover culture alignment, mission alignment over time, right? Over time, right? Unfortunately, as an entrepreneur, we don't have that factor, which is time. We want to just hustle because you have this idea, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so time in order to build the relationship, assess cultural fit, the mission and the vision is very important. Now, over to you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Hello. Can you hear me? So nice to meet you, everyone. So sorry, we're not going to speak about play to earn. It's a kind of another subject, but here we're going to present our idea and problem statements. So first question, hey guys, who of you heard about climate change?
Oh, wait a second. Did you put this slide like right away?
Yeah.
You see?
Just a minute.
But that's cool because you basically circumstantial did it. So awesome. Oh.
Okay, so
Who has heard of
I
that?
think every one of you have heard about climate change, but just to keep things clear for everyone, the climate is warming. This is like a fact. It has been warming over the last century. And why is it warming? It's warming because our activities are putting some gas that increase the carbon footprint. Yeah, the carbon in the atmosphere. So it brings an increase of energy in the earth, so it increases the temperature. So basically, what do we need to do? We need to reduce our CO2 emissions. And who makes the CO2 emissions? We can take it from a consumer perspective. This is ourselves because we are consuming stuff, but we can take it from an economic perspective. Companies are doing the carbon footprints. So what do we need to do? People, scientists are trying to implement what we call carbon accountability, which is divided into 3 scopes. So scope 1 and scope 2 are well defined nowadays, and they are basically what a company uses in terms of energy to produce and what is emitted through the production, basically. But the scope 3 emissions are all indirect emissions. So again, who is responsible for these emissions, consumer or company? This is the question, but it accounts for 80%, 90% of all the carbon footprint of the humanity. So this scope is the biggest one and is left aside for the moment. So here, this is the problem. It's extremely hard to trace due to large amount of upstream and downstream dependencies. Basically, just to take an example. Okay, so Amazon scope 1 and scope 2 are well defined. Basically, they are data centers, basically they're data centers. But scope 3, the company, they pay to deliver products. So how do we account for that, and how can we build a whole carbon accountability system?
I'm gonna take over. Thanks, Thibault. So just to recap, so essentially, I think the key challenge here, as Thibault was mentioning, is that scope 3 is calculating all the indirect emissions that's not owned by the company. So scope 1 covers everything, all the emissions that's covered by the company products. Scope 2 calculates all the electricity, all the energy consumed by the company. But scope 1 and 2 are fairly easy to measure. 3 is the challenging part because it has 16 categories. It also has a lot of upstream and downstream dependencies, especially given company sizes as big as Amazon. This becomes basically imaginable. So now I want to go to sort of the question and answers as well. So why is this a problem? So it's a problem because although right now the ESG reporting for scope 3 is largely optional, but as we get more social pressure, more awareness from the public, companies will be forced to essentially disclose more information. But scope 3, given sort of the scope of calculating these emissions, it's very labor and also monetary intensive for companies. It also has a lot of traceability issues in terms of how do you trace back this emission down to its single units. So how big and frequent is the problem? So it's pretty big, right? So eventually every company will need to report ESG, and every company will need to report scope 3. And how frequently, so this depends on sort of how frequently the company discloses their reports, but it's fairly common in terms of quarterly or yearly reports. How is the problem solved today? So today, because of, let's use an example of Amazon, because given the scope of their scope 3 emissions, they would hire certain consulting companies to calculate these scope 3 emissions based on a lot of estimations. However, different companies could hire different consulting companies who have different base models. That leads to different sort of estimates, and then the consumer essentially. So we're lacking a standard, but also traceability and also the efficiency to really calculate these costs. So we believe that there's a lot of technology that we can use, especially on blockchain, to really solve this problem, both on improving the traceability and also the efficiency of the solution. Sorry, I know we went over a little bit, but that's it.
Thank you. Round of applause. Who wants to go first? Yep.
Well, I know it wasn't a pitch, so it's different, but still, I think you got to get the attention of the audience, and well, basically, you lost me at least. I think I wasn't the only one. At the beginning, because I didn't get what it was too complicated. I mean, like straight to the point would have been better.
Any other thoughts?
It was kind of the same that you got me at the end when you were like explaining the problem again, and like I understand it more in the end, and yeah, I understand it.
No, thank you for the feedback. That was useful.
Two
Yeah.
pattern recognitions here, right? Good signals.
That's good. We got
Anybody
50%.
I think that when we talk about environments, we need to have like catchy phrases that we will directly understand. And I understand that it's a very good issue about like something that is very important. So that's something that's need a lot of attention, and that's why I agree with Julien saying that if you go straight to the point and tell the problem easily, it will be easier to catch attention.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so we definitely have a pattern recognition in terms of conveying and communication, right? So from a problem perspective, right? From a target audience perspective, from an hypothesis perspective, from an evidence perspective, right? Let's take this angle here.
It would be nice if some of the things that you said were on the slide so that I could see exactly those things. I think you said there's upstream and downstream accountability issue, which I feel is really key.
So for whom are they solving this problem? What did you say? Companies? Anything else? So what? So here's for companies and investors. Governments.
Yep.
So these are 3 target audiences.
Right on point.
Okay. What are they solving?
Maybe my question, I did not understand.
Okay, so so what are they solving? So one they said it didn't understand. So we have it for governments, for companies. So, but what are we solving?
I think
Yeah.
it's to be, if I understood correctly, I think it's to be to help your users to be accountable. I mean, to help them being accountable in their track of their carbon emissions.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, traceability is definitely one of the aspects. The other one, I don't know if you want to ask the audience again to see if this stuck.
What about like pointing out bad actors within the supply chain? Like any of this,
Yep.
this right here is 300% one or whatever.
Yeah, I think definitely along with traceability, we'll be able to establish sort of the actual journey, which you'll be able to expose that.
Okay. So we have a pattern recognition here in communication, right? And we have 3 times to the point. But then if we start assessing here the problem and the hypothesis, saying, okay, or who is in a certain situation, right? Who is in a certain situation, right? Maybe what department is in a certain situation, what a role is in a certain situation, right? And then based on evidences, how about that? What evidences did we hear here? In terms of evidences, you said, okay, climate change. I mean, everybody talks about climate change, but what evidences did we hear here? Yeah?
Yeah, I agree. I think evidence is key. For example, maybe you're solving this for people who are going to be flooded. You know, people who are going to have their homes flooded. Or maybe the issue is people who are going to suffer from wildfires, something like that. I feel like there's places where climate change actually touches down, who might be an audience or they might destabilize crops in war-torn regions and could lead to a security problem. That could be part of your audience rather than just all right, how do we lower carbon?
I see. So I think to just quickly answer that, I think the reason we're not doing those is because we're focused on ESG. We think there's a lot of opportunity. We can make ESG more optimal, more traceable and more efficient. Environment, sustainability, and governance. So this is essentially sort of the idea to trace these, to identify these 3 categories to understand how companies are behaving in these categories. And one of them is sort of the carbon emission aspect, which ties into environment.
By the way, what happens here right now, also just pause a second and assess this and lessons learned, right? This is a presentation, it's not a pitch, right? But the investor doesn't give you that time to explain too much of details. And by the way, I've been pitching around the globe, so it has a lot with cultural fit to do. So depending on where you go, you would like to pick a brain from an entrepreneur and say, hey, how do things work here, right? And I give you a clear example, right? In Silicon Valley, when you present innovation and to a target audience, and obviously this is not the case today in terms of, you're not pitching, right? But I'm just saying the fact of you defending your idea is not what I want to hear as an investor. You had the time to pitch, and it's not about you defending. It's about, what's your name? Hey, Gillen, this is very interesting. Thank you so much. So what you do is collect information, okay? And you don't go in defense. Anybody knows why? Can you think why? Yeah.
Because they want you to see that you're an open-minded person, that you're not going to stick to your solution.
Okay, open-minded, not stick to the solution. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
Getting defensive sends a poor signal.
Getting defensive sends the wrong signal. What does an investor do? Over which period of time? Longer period of time. What is it that we are going to do? Most probably to talk about bad situation, right? If you get defensive, this is a signal that you right? So when lessons learned in Silicon Valley, right? I could share with you lessons learned in Italy, in Germany, some in Asia, right? In Brazil a lot, right? So it's different there because the human has a different communication. Here, because we are here, I think it's important for me to share that. In Silicon Valley, you pitching, not presenting, you have to our target audience. Oh, thank you so much. Boom, noted, right? Okay, just FYI. Great job, guys. Thank you so much. You think we can run through another one? Is anybody ready to shoot? Yeah, okay, good. So
How does this work?
So join the Airmeet and you'll share your screen. Oh yeah, I'll add you as a presenter.
No, I'm on the Airmeet. How do we?
What was your name?
Sam.
So by the way, because we most probably will be ending at 8 or 8:05, right? Please write down, what do you think as an entrepreneur now, okay? Critical thinking. What do you think based on where we stand today? Where do we stand today? Problem statement, hypothesis. Okay. Based on where we stand today, hypothesis validation. What do you think is going to be the next step rather than me sharing? Think critically, and then I want to hear your voices here. At the end, it's just going to become the assessment. Okay.
Wait, just hit that. That was not. Oh, there we go.
All right.
Cool. Just hit save, and then you want to click the share screen button over here.
This.
And then just hit it.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Oh, nice. All right. What's up? We'll interactive too. We'll interactive too. How many? No.
It's not
No.
sharing. It's not sharing. We'll try that one more time. Are we good? Are we good? Is it this one? Cool. Is it this one?
Yeah, it's this one.
Cool. There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's this one.
We all go. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna start out with two questions. Get it going. Get it going. How many people live on our planet? Very close. 7.9. All right. Second question. What do a lot of these people have? More and more people are getting it each day. Little riddle.
Yes.
That is. Wow. That is right. Many people have access to the internet.
How much did you pay you?
This number's only going up. As a result, people have access to educational resources like never before. And as a result of that, we believe that thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of people are more capable, more educated than many of the people who have jobs in Silicon Valley, many of the people that are working in other places. Our problem: how do we find and develop these people? Get a little bit more specific. These are some of the entities that we think have this problem. Businesses struggle to find talent. Universities, academics, probably falls under universities. Countries as well as countries. Next step is we want to figure out solve this problem for. That is our presentation.
Hey, feedback. Okay, so clear? Anything else?
They clearly identified that problem and their user self-centered.
Feedback?
Yeah, it was clear. I just wanted to learn more about the implication of blockchain to the project.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Who was not clear? What are your other thoughts? Who was not clear? That's an easy. Clear, that's an easy.
I think they needed to be like you said, smart people are using it with hundreds of thousands like how do you do that internet, how do you make it more important? So like little bit quite
Okay, what specific quantify?
like for example, how many people might be employed, like he said, maybe the grounding of how we do it.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I really like the comparison. I agree, many people are more capable than those of us here. However, I don't understand what the problem is, though. Again, that statement. I don't really know why people in other countries' internet is related to education. Since when did you learn anything online?
For those who it's clear, and we have a couple of pictures, for those who it's not up here, missing something. Is there anybody who misses something here? Thank you for sharing this. Anybody misses something here? Otherwise, we always the devil's advocate. Anybody miss? Is an sorry. There has to be the need, right? Because we get better at assessing things, right?
Maybe we'll need more members or key. Like you see research which you're making that's assessment because we're like it's the right amount of number of people and like it's true, but like you make
You're
more
all too polite. We need somebody who smashes it, guys. You're all too polite here tonight. Okay, who smashes this one? Huh? Nobody?
Very politely.
Okay, again, very politely.
Yeah.
Emerald, okay, go ahead.
So I think this is basically for all the classes, the specificity of the problem is really hard because it seems way too broad. Like, for example, what you guys are doing is you want to match make every talent to everyone else in the universe.
So, like, first, they say people. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, talent. I mean, a food scientist is different than an engineer, different than a mathematician. Like, what people, right? So, secondly, you said university, corporate, what industry? Like a food scientist for the industry of retail is different than a food scientist for the industry of ag, right? So the specificity, right? The focus, narrowing down, allows you to do what?
And to put the feature.
The more specific you are, what's your name? Okay. The more specific you are, you finish the sentence. The more specific, there's no right one. The what?
the easier it is to find a solution. So who is your target audience, right? Specifically, okay? Talents. Who are you serving in the industry? In what country? Maybe in what location? California is super different than Texas. Texas is than Florida. Florida, Germany, right? Yes or no? Does that make sense? Is it just me? Is it just me being critical here right now, right? And then the other thing, so fantastic introduction, self-confident, right? Entrepreneur, asking questions, right? Fantastic, right? But how connected was the first question with the actual potential indication of what they're going to do? What did you ask first?
How many people are on?
And then ultimately you asked about what? Like this is what I call the onion strategy, right? You know when you cook, anybody cooking here likes cooking, right? And when you cut onions, right, you have all these onion peels, right? So if you start out and how many people do we have on Earth? It's like, hey, shoot. I mean, this is not, how much is it? Like what I'm saying is you will be probably, it's cool that you interacted, but you lose the people because this can go in any direction. Like what problem, right? So you would like to start asking questions that at the same time are directly linked 1 or 2 steps away, right? Things like who in the industry of in Silicon Valley, so boom, location, right? Is facing the challenges of, had faced the challenge in the past of finding jobs. You see, it's very close already. Let's say, okay, this is a job, something to do with jobs, right? How many people we have on Earth, this could be anything, right? So you lose the people, right? And if you lose the attention, right, you lost basically the momentum. You lost the opportunity, okay? Anything else?
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, of course.
So we also have another problem. That problem is we do not have any other teammates. So the cool part of that problem is, and I agree with all of that feedback, but we're very much still in the ideation phase. We want to do something in education, unlocking human potential, using the blockchain to educate people that historically have been excluded. And I think it's a huge, huge problem. But like figuring out what country, what industry, what focus, are we going at children, adolescents, people who already have jobs, et cetera, like we haven't figured that out. Are there any engineers that are still not on a team? Because I remember yesterday there was at least one. All right.
So we go to bed?
I guess so. Are there any, I mean, I guess we'll have to talk after class. If we don't have an engineer, imagine.
So how many, everybody found here already a group, right? Everybody is in a group, close group of, who is group of 4? Group of 4 folks, 4 people, group of 4. What do you mean, 4 or 5? I mean, in between there is nothing. Yeah? Say what? Sorry?
No. How do I like share my?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Only one group of 4. The rest is all of 5. Okay. So what's going to happen is that mathematically, 2 things. Okay. First, and everything can happen, right? I'm going to challenge you, Sam. Okay. You could still build your startup if you enchant others to join you. We still have time. Okay. You see something like, okay. Secondly, if you don't make that, because reality, right, then you have to join others.
Okay,
and then we'll be on a team of 6.
Yeah. A team of, then we have exception. That's the exceptions then, yes. Right?
We have one more.
What's our team? Dream Squad?
755. 54. I think I wanna actually I would like actually to start wrapping up because I want to get into the together assessing the next step here. I think it's more important rather than rushing through things, right? You guys agree? Rushing through things or assessing next steps, okay? So I would need somebody who again recaps where do we stand in the journey as an entrepreneur right now? First question. So second, where do we stand in the journey, right? And, just a second, and then because we stand exactly there, right? What would be, in your opinion, the next step? Okay, wanna go? What's your name again? Thomas, right? I can remember your name because you're the US version of mine.
Well, right now we're on the ideation problem statement, trying to come up with opportunities and stuff. I think the next step is to confirm or infirm those hunches that we may have. And to confirm or infirm, like doing interviews, trying to come up with the people who are eventually going to be our customers or users, and to ask them if our hunches were correct.
So anybody else? Anybody else? Okay.
Yeah, just one general comment is that this was just about the problem statement, but we have one constraint, and it's an open class, but we also have the constraint to use the blockchain technology in it. So I think that we also need to make sure that the problem that we have is something that blockchain can bring value to.
Anything else? Yeah. I will be asking at least another 6 guys, okay? You better wake up. Very good.
After we clarify the problem, we need to confirm. Clarify the problem means just like the first is the problem matters. The problem matters to the audience. And
Clarify the problem. Audience.
and how big is the problem? Yeah, and is it worse for us to tackle the problem? And the next step for me is first is to validate this is, because we have some theories about what we thought, and we need to validate, are they true, are they real? The second thing I'm thinking is, are we able to tackle those problems? And that's it.
Fantastic. Anybody else? How about you? What's your name? Brian, what do you think? Where do we stand and what do we need to do?
Yeah, I think currently a lot of teams, we have pretty good ideas of, some sort of ideas of what the problem that we want to solve. I guess the next step will be try to, come up with a different, a variety of ideas that we can validate through talking to users and do some research on the market for, real feedback.
Okay, fantastic, guys. So all is right. And then let me recap in the following way. We are in the moment of hypothesis. Hypothesis is in our mind. What we usually have done, most of you, you have been using either Google Trends or you have been looking at some statistics, right, to back your assumptions. That's the difference between assumption and evidence. Okay, evidence is when it gets real. Okay,
a target audience that you think, because this is actually the bigger challenge, right? You think that this is the target audience. And you must be still neutral enough to this approach to say, it might be still the case that this is actually not the target audience, right? So going basically to Sam's here thing, company or project or idea, right? Okay, shit, with whom do I have to talk about? who do I ask, right? You said universities, corporate, and what do I ask them about? And who do I ask in the company? And how are they solving this challenge right now? And how am I going to be different? Wow, this is a lot. When it comes to entrepreneurship, this is a lot, right? So the more you walk, guys, I repeat again, walk in your customer's shoes, the better you will be understanding, okay, the problem that they have. And then, by the way, this is what I then call the moment where if you have that evidence, nobody can tell you anything. Because as long as you present me statistic, or anybody's statistic, not about Tommaso, right? Everybody will say, oh, where do you have this data? Well, I read about it, thank you so much. How many customers did you talk? Well, we haven't started talk with customers, right? So there is always one truth that nobody can say anything in entrepreneurship. You know what it is?
Paying customers.
Paying customers, I mean real customers, right? If you come and say, well, Tommaso, hey, we spoke with 30 customers, we have here a letter of intents, or we have traffic on our website, we have here sign-ups, right? It is what we get into slowly into the point of between evidences and then slowly traction, right? Okay, evidences and traction. So the activity now, what we want to do is, in the deck that I shared the last time, maybe somebody can share yeah, not the one that I presented, but the one that we have online. There is one slide that is about who is your target audience, who is the persona, okay? What are they thinking? What are they saying, okay? And here is where the huge difference in the entrepreneurial world, you will be seeing a huge difference because there will be groups that will be starting, again, I repeat, organizing themselves about their competencies. Why? Because now you're going to have a lot of efforts, guys, if everybody does everything, right? So now you basically, what you want to do is divide and conquer. Okay, what are your abilities? Well, my abilities are engineering. Okay, what is the class title? Technologies. Okay, cool. So how about you two guys in engineer? Because we are going in direction HR, maybe. How about you start assessing what we could do from an engineering perspective in HR? Divide and conquer, right? And then the Department of Marketing / Department of Business Development / the designer, right? They start facing the truth. Where? Not online, but through evidence. Okay? Oh, but Tommaso, can I not do anything at all online? Of course. Backing stuff with, driving traffic to your website, assessing certain Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups and asking, right? But one thing is for sure, the team that is getting closer to something that is more tangible, more real, will stand out. At the end of the day, I would like you to start challenging you with one thing, which I call reverse engineering the outcome. In week 01 of May, you will be standing in front of a crowd and you will be presenting, pitching in this case. Okay? We still have some time, but reverse engineer the week. How do you think you're going to stand out next to the other 12 winners? And I can share already the outcome, who will be standing out. On one hand, the one who will be standing out is the company that will do the maximum traction, that will have achieved the maximum traction. Because if you open up the conversation and the pitch, hey class, good evening. I would like to share with you how within 6 months, a team of 5 that didn't know each other 6 months ago reached $110,000 or 110,000 signups. And this is what we do.
And whatever you're going to say, if it's blockchain, not blockchain, I will be listening. Because just the fact that you said that you achieved something tangible within a short period of time, make you already a winner. Okay? And this is the reality on how the perception works of innovation. Because everybody, as long as you have theory, closer to theory, people will be slicing down your idea because it's just hypothesis. So the closer to get to reality, traction, right? But Thomas, we are not in traction mode yet. Start, divide, and conquer. Today, tomorrow, say, hey, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. Okay, do we agree? Yes, okay, cool. How do we get evidences? Because what's going to happen next week and over the next 2 weeks, let's go back from the future perspective, what you're pitching to. What's going to happen is that you're going to see that, you mentioned it, feasibility, that what you said is maybe not feasible, and you're going to adjust and fine tune, okay? Why? Not based on statistics, but based on how many people you spoke to, okay? You want to impress as an entrepreneur, okay? That's not a class, okay? You want to impress as an entrepreneur, investors, partners, bring me evidence. The closer you are to theory, the more we can slice it down. Does that make sense, class? So as an activity, by the way, the activity will be now starting being a lot of in parallel things. That's the reason why, as a team, I like to picture this with with European soccer, right? You can not everybody, all 11 people being on the ball, right? Not everybody can run after the ball. You have people that, football is the same in whatever sports, right? Everybody has a position. So what's your position? Ask your team tonight, what's your position? What's your strength? Okay? What's your performance that you want to do? What is yours? Okay? Okay, do we all agree with that? Awesome. We need traction. We need evidence. Who does what? What's your talent? Oh, I'm great in doing online marketing. Okay, cool. But how many people do we want to talk? We had here, the last time that I was here teaching, we had teams that brought in their potential customer in class. I was like, wow. I gave them a trophy because this was amazing. So not only did we go beyond, but we convinced them to come in class and they shared with us just to make it super real. Well, Thomas isn't exaggerated. No, that's what we are doing, right? We want to go out of your comfort zone. And remember, what we are doing here, my motivation to do this is not about the product that comes out of it. You are the product. You, the human being, you are the product. Moving out of your comfort zone, learning the ingredients that differentiates you, that when you pitch, you raise your money and you get your best people and you change the world. Okay? Any questions?
Also have 2 announcements.
Yep, please.
Okay. Hi everyone. So sorry for keeping you all over time, but we have 2 really important forms that we really need you all to fill out today. So the first one is a team formation form. So while you all are in your teams, please fill out the team formation form, pin to general right now. We need all of your names and your team project topic saved. And then the second thing is that the attendance code word today is problem statement. So please ensure that you're filling out the same attendance form, is always the same, pin to general, that very same form. And just make sure you have the code word and that will be great. Yeah, one question? Yes. No, just put in your name and your topic, and only one person from each team needs to fill it out. Yeah. Yes, it's a form as well.
We want to know your team members, correct?
Right. It's all of your team members, all of your names, as well as your topic. So that's what's in the form. So please, one person.
One more, you guys, by the way. So we're going to be doing East Denver virtually for everybody here. This is what's going to be happening on the 15th for the class. So there'll be more information I'll be having for you on Slack, but you have to apply for East Denver today. The application is closed tomorrow, so if you have not applied, you need to apply right now. East Denver, eastdenver.com/apply. If you have not done it yet, ETH Denver, yes. Thank you, guys. I think we can go ahead and end session.
Okay. Cool.